Hey, Lauren.
Go ahead.
Got it.
You don't have to hit anything.
I don't
Nope.
have to hit the got it thing? Nope. It's on my screen now.
What does it say?
No, you could just
Record,
got
okay.
it. Yeah.
Just hit
I just
okay.
got rid of it. Okay, got it. Okay, good evening all. This is the regular meeting of the New Canaan Police Commission, April 20th, 2022. Let's go through the minutes from the last couple of meetings. The minutes for March 16th. Any admissions, corrections?
None here.
Omissions?
None here.
I just had a couple, and it's minor, and it's in C. 5-minute loading zone discussion, and it's a third sentence, and it says Laura asked to focus on 3, and I just said Laura focused on 3, or we can say it's just the grammar was a little off. Laura was asked to focus on 3 is fine, okay, and then later on in almost the last sentence, the concept is to have high turnover parking spaces. I just want to make it to create high turnover parking spaces. And then Deputy Chief DeFederico was in favor, because it was the wrong tense for. I know, sorry, my editing.
But he still is.
But he still is in favor. He still is, for the record.
Yeah.
You're still in favor, right?
Always will be.
And always will be in favor,
Yeah.
okay. That
Once
was
and
it.
always will be.
So, motion to approve those minutes.
Why don't we quickly look at the other minutes and
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
approve all of them.
That's
It'll be
fine.
A little
Okay,
easier, I think.
okay. March 29th draft,
No changes.
no changes
No
here.
changes.
No changes. And then April 11th, no changes for me.
No changes.
No changes. Okay, now motion to approve all
So I'll
3.
make a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting held on March 16th, the minutes from the special session meeting held on March 29th, and the minutes from the special session meeting held on April 11th.
Second,
Fine.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, that's done. Reports, Chief.
Sure. The first report I have is our budget. We should be at 74.97, but our actual is 71.40, so we're under budget by about 3.5%. That's good news. However, we're getting near the end of the fiscal year, so we'll have to be careful about spending. But overall, good shape related to the budget. No concerns at this point.
Okay.
Animal control is at 69.90, so that's not under budget. And dog fund is 76.30, but that's a little of an anomaly because the way that budget works. So
Right.
no concerns with either of those budgets. Next report I have is monthly statistics. I'll just highlight some items. Burglaries 4 versus 0 last year, so year-to-date 4, and our investigators are working on those cases, and it's a Fairfield County group that's committing the majority of those, and we're hopeful at some point we'll be able to make some arrests and catch those people. But as always, put your alarm system on, report suspicious activity, all good common sense things that our residents should always do, and these folks are actually breaking through sliding glass doors that typically aren't alarmed, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to alarm your sliding glass door if it's not. They haven't hit in a while, so maybe they've moved on. Family disputes 20 versus 9, so that's a big increase, but that's a good sign that folks are calling us for help, and not all of those result in arrests, but some do. And it's been an unusual amount of family disputes, but we're glad to help out our community when those things do happen. And I think statistically they say those usually don't go down. When they go up, it's a good thing because people are calling us for help, so it's good in that regard. Larcenies from vehicles 5 versus 11. So that's down, so that's a good sign. Hopefully that trend continues. Location check 544 versus 167, and the bulk of that increase is related to checking our parks and other locations, intensive patrols to try to prevent the folks that are coming into town and committing crimes from doing that. So that's good work by our officers, certainly. Property damage accidents 87 versus 79, a little bit of an increase, but not substantial. Injury accidents 9 versus 4, so that's a good increase. and we'll continue to work on those locations where we're seeing high accident rates or complaints and do enforcement there. Psychiatric problems, 21 versus 15. That's a big increase, and that's sort of tied into family disputes with, we're still seeing a high level of anxiety in town to some degree, and a lot of complex issues that our officers handle really well. School bus violations, 38 versus 17. The bulk of those are reported by the school bus drivers, and in a lot of the instances, we do take enforcement action if there's a clear violation. And all our buses have video on them, so typically it shows us pretty clearly if there was a violation or not, and that's how we're able to take enforcement action. Certainly, it's a very dangerous behavior to pass a stop school bus with kids unloading. So I'd like to encourage the drivers to continue to report those violations. And that's all I have for highlighted incidents.
Yeah, stolen vehicles look like it was down a little.
What's that?
Stolen vehicles.
Yeah, it's down a little, 6 versus 9.
Yeah.
We're seeing that fall off a little bit. We're hoping that trend continues.
Yep.
That's kind of tied in with the larcenies from vehicles too.
Right. Okay.
Next report I have is staffing report. In March of this year, we had 21.38 lost time. That's just 17% and 29% past couple of years. So it's somewhere in the middle as far as lost time. We worked about 47% of the time with a minimum shift, which is comparable to last year, which was 45 and 59 the previous year. So that trend is a little bit better than a couple of years ago. And Officer Deacon Lambert off shift due to SRO duties, and 1 officer on injury leaves, and 1 retirement that we need to fill. So those all contribute to lost time and staffing. But we're in a pretty good shape compared to other years where we've been the same time. Next report I have is extra duty aging. Fair amount due 31, over 31 days. I think it's around 75,000 or so. And we do continue to let the CFO know to collect those monies, but it's much better than it's been in years past. So that's a good trend, I think, and I hope that continues.
What is CSI again? 4,000.
Construction company?
No.
I don't know.
CSI.
But it's current.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like it's all within,
Yeah,
maybe it's some construction or something.
I guess.
Yeah.
Your communications, they're a fiber optic company.
Great, thank you.
Next
And there
report.
have been a number, there have been a number of payments. I like that column on that side, so
Yeah.
thanks for including that.
Gives you an update.
Yep.
Next report I have is false alarm aging. I'm waiting to hear back from our CFO about what the outsourced third party is doing regarding collections, because there's about 11,450 that's over 120, and not likely that's going to be collected. So that'll be a decision the finance department needs to make. Yep. That's all I have for reports.
Okay. Next, topics for discussion. Chamber of Commerce events. Laura? You're up.
Good evening. Thank
Good
you
evening.
for having me. So for the first time in 2 years, I can come and ask for everything at once. Because of the pandemic before, we were inching forward. So I'm going to put 3 dates out there to close both Elm and then the Elm South intersection, formerly known as the Pop-Up Park. And I have 3 community-wide events that I'd like to close the Elm Street in that area for. I will obviously be working with Jason for all 3 of these to ensure police coverage for each event. The first is sidewalk sale, which is going to be Saturday, July 23rd. We'd like the street closed from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The second is the Halloween block party, which would be Sunday, October 30th. And we would ask for that area to be closed from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It could probably be open a little earlier than 3, but I figure I'd just round up. And the third is Holiday Stroll, which will be Friday, December 2nd. And we would need the street closed from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the evening. With the sidewalk sale, I'm going to request from the state to close Main Street between Burtis and East Oh, and then actually I should say, part of Forest Street should be part of my sidewalk sale request as well. And what we've done on Forest Street is, we put an officer at the end so he can direct any of the residential traffic in going the opposite way.
Right, so you really need just the half of Forest Street.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then back to the sidewalk sale, is that from 8 to 6 or from 8 to 5?
It's from 8 to 5. I've said that the vendors will start breaking down around 4, and then that gives us a full hour to get the street cleared. And then the DPW crew comes in, and they are amazing. And if you come downtown by 5:30 or 6, you would never even know the event happened. They're amazing. So.
Got it. And then what about Burtis?
No, so Main Street, I have to request from the state to close Main Street for sidewalk sale from Burtis to East Avenue.
Right, okay. So that doesn't affect us?
No, because
Okay,
it's state road.
got it. Yep. We do know that. Okay. Any discussion? Thoughts?
No?
Nope. All right, a motion to approve the sidewalk sale from 8 a.m. to 5 and to include Forest Street. Halloween block party would be the 30th from 10 to 3, and the holiday stroll in December is from 4 to 9. You don't need Forest then, you just need,
No, Halloween and holiday stroll is just the Elm Street.
yep, it's
Area.
just, okay.
And that's obviously Elm from
From
Park to Main.
Right,
From Park to Main, correct.
okay, motion to approve that.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, you got that. That's
Thank
it.
you. Thank you very
You're
much, everyone. Have a great night.
You
Thanks a
too.
lot.
Thank
Here.
you.
All right, bye-bye.
Next up, Route 123 speed discussion. This is your Tiger?
Yes. Good evening. Thanks for putting
Hey,
this on
Tom.
the agenda. I received several phone calls from a resident living on New Norwalk Road, stating that they were having a very, very difficult time entering and exiting their driveway, specifically due to the speeds that are on 123. So I went to the state website to look because she had said that, when the speed limit signs was down, she called me later and said it went back up again. It was 45 miles per hour in that stretch. So to give you an idea of the speed limits on 123 from the Norwalk town line to 106 or East Avenue, it's posted at 45 miles per hour. Then it drops from 106 to Michigan Road to 40, and then it picks back up again from Michigan Road to the New York state line to 45. She lives in that stretch of the 45 mile per hour area. I think 45 in that area is a little bit excessive, given the amount of traffic that is there. I was wondering if the commission would like to entertain an idea of petitioning the state to drop it by at least 5 miles per hour. I don't know what your
Which segment are you referring to, Tiger?
I'll be honest with you, I'd rather have both of them come down by 5 miles per hour. The upper stretch from Michigan and New York state line, I'll defer to the deputy chief and the chief. But from the Norwalk line to Michigan, it's 45 and 40 respectively, splitting at East Avenue. And, especially from East Avenue to Michigan is quite busy straight through there. That's the Locust Avenue intersection.
Right.
There's a lot of side streets through there. And then just from the Norwalk line to East Avenue, we're going past Littlebrook. We're going past East School. We're going past Canaan Parish. Millport Avenue is there. So we have a high density in that area. So, I would like to see both of them drop by 5 miles per hour to a 40 and a 35. But I don't know what the state would look to. But it has to originate from the LTA. Or it should originate from the LTA.
Okay, Deputy Chief?
Yeah,
Thoughts?
I would recommend, it's just so densely populated.
Yeah.
And
don't know that it's changed much over the years, but it is, at least the volume is
Yeah.
such that, and to make it consistent, it is radically inconsistent, going from 45 to 40, 45 again. And, you're talking that stretch between East Avenue and the country club, going by the country club, and, whenever we get accidents up there, they're usually pretty bad. So
Yep.
if we can have a one-speed 40 the whole length of 123, even the stretch north of Michigan, although it's wide and straight, on either end, you're coming down into, if you're going into New York, it narrows right down to
That's right.
2 lanes. So you really don't want people going 50 miles an hour coming into that, and vice versa, coming south. You're into the curves, like North Wilton there, and so I think to make it consistent.
So the idea is to have it 40 the whole stretch from Norwalk to the state line.
It'd be easier to enforce that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then it's just one speed. You can't say, well, I didn't know it was that, and it's, where were you?
And as we know, just because you're lowering the speed limit doesn't necessarily mean people are going
Right.
to behave, because they're going to go as fast as they think they're comfortable driving on the road. So we don't want to have any unreasonable expectations about our ability to really enforce that. We can do it, but
We could couple it with better enforcement, though, and if, to your point, it would make it easier to enforce in the sense that it's 40 miles an hour.
right,
Yeah.
easier
So,
for the public too to figure it out.
Yeah, so it's not confusing.
Okay. Okay,
I think 40 is fine.
I'm okay with that.
As long as it's consistent.
It's consistent, right.
Yeah.
And 5 miles, it's better to just tamper it down.
Length of 123 is 40.
Right.
So we'd be making a motion to approve a request
To go to the state.
being made to the state.
Right. They may say no. But.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
like to get rid of the passing zones as well. That, to me, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, you're pulling out of a driveway and someone's passing. It's just,
Yeah, you're not looking for that.
and they're
car.
doing 60,
Making a
at
passing
you, coming
move.
at you, right. I know.
But I think they were resistant to that.
Mhm.
Tiger, should we include that, or would that be a separate request? The passing zone?
Probably should be a separate request, but I think we should include it. I mean, we asked the question and they said that it would have to come from the LTA, but they were in their plans for what they're proposing to do on repaving and restriping upper 123. They said that they were going to put the passing zones back in again. So they wanted to keep them. But the only way for us to have them look at it intensely is for the LTA to ask. So I think we should do 2 requests. And
2 bullet point requests,
yeah,
reduce the speed limit and eliminate the passing zones for the.
But we eliminate the passing zones on the whole stretch?
they're
To me, I just don't understand how you could be
Because it gets.
pulling out of a
inconsistent,
driveway.
Right.
And, okay, there's no cars coming this way, then you turn out of your driveway, and then there's a car making a passing maneuver coming in. How do you know that?
Right, you know,
To me, it's just incredibly dangerous, and I don't know how we've never really had an accident on it.
right.
But that's the state's response as well. There's no accidents, so keep it.
Yeah.
And that's probably will be their response.
But if they approve it, they'd be responsible for the costs related to signage and striping and
Yeah.
everything. So, right?
Well, they're doing the centerline rumble strips eventually, so that's where Tiger and I made the initial request to them. They're installing those, and then I said, well, while they're doing that, they're going to have to restripe it anyway. So can they just not restripe it at the passing zone? And their initial response was no, but it also had to come from the traffic control. But we don't want to convolute the message to them with the speed limits. We can make that request another time.
Yeah. Might be easier to palatable for them.
Yeah.
It'll take a long time anyway to get back to us.
Right, let's get the 40 done.
Yep.
And I understand what you're saying about the passing zone.
Yeah, we can pick that up when they're trying to do the center line.
And what's that? I mean, I think I know what it is, but.
It's the rumble strip.
Right, when you
But
go
it's-
across
it's
the
in the
center
double
line.
yellow. Yeah, it's
Right,
in the
and
double yellow line.
Your
so
tire
you
hits it, right.
drift over.
Right.
A lot of times they'll have them on the shoulder as well.
Yep.
When you drift.
Are they doing that all around the state or here or what's?
Yeah, there's quite a number.
They
of
must have gotten
locations.
federal funds for something.
Yeah, I think it's a statewide project.
Okay, so let's have a motion for that.
So we'd have a motion to authorize Tiger Mann, Director of Public Works, to request that the state alter the speed limit on Route 123 from the Norwalk border up to the New York border to make it a consistent 40 miles per hour for that entire stretch.
I think it'd be,
has to come from you guys. You're the.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so it comes from us.
Okay.
All right, so it comes
Say
from
upon
us.
the recommendation,
Right.
et cetera.
Okay, upon the recommendation of the Public
Upon the
Works and,
recommendation of
Deputy
Tiger
Chief
Man,
and Deputy Chief
The
DeFederico.
commission requests
Yes,
Right,
that the state make
Um,
that change I just explained.
right.
got it.
Got it? Got it? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go into Chief Department 2022-23
Sure.
goals and objectives.
Yeah, a lot of these are in progress, but I thought it was smart to put them down and discuss, renovate as new our building and plan for relocation. That's in flux as we speak. Go ahead.
Because we're studying it two ways.
Yes,
We're studying it as new
yes.
and renovate as new.
I think it's renovate as new or
Or,
the whole building, or
Right.
renovate as new and take off the back addition and put
Right.
that new.
right,
Right.
right. So there's sort of a A, B, and C
Right,
plan coming together.
right.
And then you've got a seven, the training facility in range. I would like to couple those together
Sure.
because as
You would want to couple 1 and 7?
1 and 7 as one.
Sure.
And it's to renovate or build a new police headquarters as well as complete a new training facility.
Sure.
As
Let's
part
combine
of
those.
this, right.
And note, I did, we'll get to it when I get to it, but we'll talk a little bit about that number 7, which will be 1 now. It actually
Yes.
makes sense because it is the most important goal.
Yeah, and the reason is sometimes when you do things in town, as we know, they kind of, if you don't do them together, one gets done and the other one gets put on the back burner and then it's just never completed. And it's vital that we have a training facility to have an updated police force and keep them trained as they should be. So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Goal 2 is compliance with Connecticut's police accountability law. We're in the progress of complying with that, and frankly, the training facility is going to help us comply with some use of force changes and make sure our officers are as well trained as possible and they make the right decisions. So that's another tie-in to that goal number 1.
that's right.
Develop training initiatives that enhance officer safety and organizational effectiveness. That's all tied into number 1 again with the training facility. Really important things that we need to refocus or focus on. Conduct traffic enforcement at high accident and or resident complaint locations. That remains an ongoing initiative. Advance town-wide safe security initiatives. That's in progress.
Right.
Enhance crime prevention messaging and marketing. We continue to work on that. And build in-town training facility and range, and I'll combine that with goal 1. And for the first time, I'm also including the commission as responsibility for that so that we can collectively work together to advance that and make that happen because it's so important for us to have that facility for our officers because we want them to be the best trained in Connecticut, if not tri-state area. So that's really a critical thing. But I will combine those and rework that. And
Yeah, we'll come back to you on a couple of ideas on that. too.
Absolutely.
And I'm on the building committee, so it helps. I'm involved.
right.
Great. Okay, any thoughts? Other thoughts?
Mhm.
Okay.
Good
Uh,
goals.
Good goals. Number 1 goal that's why it's the number 1 goal. D, Officer Rex Sprosta.
Sure. This is a request from Officer Sprasta to take a course at Sacred Heart University towards his master's degree. This is called Mobile Device Forensics. Certainly be helpful for a lot of the work that we do.
Mhm.
I recommend approval of that course.
Okay, motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's good. Building renovation update.
We had a meeting earlier this week with an architect to get an alternative plan. Possibility, I think, is renovate current building, take off the old structure on the back and make it all kind of the same and modern and new and what we need. Very productive meeting and interesting, and I think in a couple of weeks, potentially, we'll have a building committee meeting, and we'll see some progress and there'll be some decisions made, I think, May, June, by the building committee, recommendation to town council and board of finance, et cetera. So it's moving along nicely. It's just a matter of what the choice ends up being.
I think the town has engaged a estimator for
Yes.
both.
Mhm.
He's been an estimator for other projects around, and we'll come back with some harder numbers. So, either choice, box A, box B, or box C is going to come up.
Good
So-
news is it's staying here.
It's staying here. The good thing is it's staying here. So that was good progress as well.
Yeah.
And then the training facility, we're looking at a couple of locations. We've got deed restrictions in a couple spots, but I think there are a couple spots around town and that sort of area on the southwest side of town that would take a facility like this. And then, as we've discussed, other departments are interested in sharing that facility with us, and this way we control our own destiny, but yet we can offset some of our costs, and it's certainly overhead in operating the facility with having local departments come in who are very close by and
Yes, absolutely.
maybe even bordering us could come by and use the facility as well, and we would welcome that. Plus, it just makes for a better working relationship with all the departments. So,
Are those locations on town-owned property or?
yeah,
would-
town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Town already owned property.
Underutilized.
Right. Okay, letters of appreciation.
Sure. And one thing I forgot to mention is our officers did some exceptional work. They arrested a career criminal who has been hitting the center of town and sneaking in backs of stores and stealing purses and other valuables. And
Saw that.
he has a very long arrest history, and we just arrested him for multiple violations. And so that's some great work by our officers in being diligent, and thankful for their good work in that regard. So this is related to the first thank you I have is related to the color drop, and that's for Officer Coughlin, Lieutenant Ferraro, and the writer states that the New Canaan color drop was a great success yesterday. The New Canaan High School Scholarship Foundation seemed to have an in with the weather gods. Kelly, thank you for joining us again this year. It's great to have you there. So that's a nice note. Next note is for Officer Coughlin again from South Central Criminal Justice Administration. It's related to her assistance that she provided for a role-playing exercise in Newtown for a promotional exam. So that's great work by Officer Coughlin there, helping out with that. Next memorandum of letter of appreciation I have is from Lieutenant D. Felice to Officer Oakes, and he is recognizing his good work towards putting together a NCPD prisoner booking guide that will help our officers more efficiently and effectively do all the many tasks that they have to do when they do book prisoners into our system. So good work there. And the last letter of appreciation I have is from Lieutenant D. Felice to Fran Donaher, our records clerk, and Christine Brown, our IT person, related to their help with creating that electronic New Canaan Police Department prisoner booking guide. So thanks to their good work and assistance in completing that task for our department.
Great. Any other old business? Any other new business? Okay, let's go into executive session for a couple minutes. It's 6:29. Vote coming out of executive session at 6:42. Any other business to discuss? None.
No?
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Adjourn at 6:42. Thank you.
Have a good night.